Odin, with his wisdom and strength, ruled over the 9 realms. His story is filled with the pursuit of wisdom and power, yet it is also laden with an unavoidable destiny. As the All-Father, he led the most magnificent chapter of Norse mythology. Although he knew he could not escape Ragnarok, Odin still chose to fight against fate. Hello everyone, I am Ada, and today I will continue to tell you more stories about Odin. Let us once again enter the legendary world of this great god. The sky over the Norse lands was heavy with clouds, and a blizzard raged in the high heavens, with a cold wind cutting like a knife. Surrounded by mountains stood Asgard, and Odin's golden palace gleamed, rising from the snow-covered ground. Valhalla's grand hall soared into the clouds, with golden shields and massive battle axes adorning the walls. The fire in the hall's hearth blazed, and the warm light filtered through the thick stone walls, illuminating the feast of the Einherjar warriors. Every warrior laughed and drank, their armor shining in the firelight, and the atmosphere was filled with victory and glory. But outside of this joyful scene, Odin stood on Valhalla's high balcony, gazing at the distant battlefield. His face was set with a serious expression, his single eye fixed on the land below, where countless warriors had fallen. His cloak billowed in the wind, and his dark figure, intertwined with golden light, appeared both majestic and mysterious. Behind Odin stood several Valkyries, mysterious and beautiful warrior maidens. Their figures were graceful, and their silver armor and wing-like cloaks gently swayed in the wind. Each Valkyrie was Odin's most loyal follower, tasked with selecting the bravest warriors from the battlefield and bringing them to Valhalla to become Odin's warriors, preparing for the final battle of Ragnarok. Odin's face was shrouded in majesty and profound wisdom, his one eye seeming to see through both the future and fate itself. Every Valkyrie could feel the weight of his thoughts. As the leader of the gods, Odin not only commanded in war but also held the power of life and death. His burden was heavier than anyone else's. Warriors fight on the battlefield. No matter how bravely, they all eventually fall. As the All-Father, I must choose the bravest and the most fearless to bring to Valhalla to prepare for the final battle. But this responsibility is so heavy, Odin pondered to himself. Odin slowly turned his head, his gaze falling on Brynhildr, the leader of the Valkyries. Brynhildr's eyes shone with determination and loyalty, though her face carried a trace of unease. Although she was Odin's most trusted Valkyrie, she too understood the difficulty and importance of the task at hand. Odin took a deep breath and spoke softly, his voice low but filled with power. Odin, in a calm tone, Brynhildr, today you and your sisters will return to the battlefield. The duty of a Valkyrie is not only to select warriors but also to protect their souls. Do you understand the weight of this responsibility? Brynhildr lifted her head, her eyes glowing with determination. She gripped her spear tightly, and her silver armor lightly clinked in the wind. Brynhildr, firmly, my lord, the Valkyries will fulfill our mission. No matter what danger we face, we will select the bravest warriors for you and bring them back to Valhalla. Odin studied Brynhildr's face and slowly nodded. He knew that Brynhildr and her sisters had never disappointed him. Odin, thoughtfully, your task is not only about the warrior's honor but also about the future of fate. Valhalla needs more warriors. The coming of Ragnarok is unavoidable. I hope you understand that every choice you make today will decide the outcome of our future battles. Brynhildr's expression did not waver. She knelt slightly, raising her spear above her head, her demeanor solemn and sacred. Brynhildr, softly but with strength, I understand, Lord Odin. The Valkyries are ready to give everything for you, even our lives. Odin's gaze remained heavy as he turned to face the distant horizon, where the sounds of battle seemed to echo faintly in the wind. Brynhildr and her Valkyrie sisters spread their silver wings and flew towards the icy battlefield. Their figures sparkled like stars in the sky, each Valkyrie searching for the bravest and most fearless warriors. The land was drenched in blood and slaughter. Countless warriors fell beneath their enemies' blades, staining the snow-covered ground red. The air was thick with the scent of death. Every clash of swords felt like the tolling of fate. The eyes of the brave warriors burned with fighting spirit. Although they knew death was near, they felt no fear. Brynhildr soared above the battlefield, her eagle-like gaze sharp as she observed each fallen warrior. Her heart was filled with respect for these warriors, and deep loyalty to Odin. She knew that every choice made today would impact the future battle of Ragnarok. At that moment, she saw a warrior wielding a battle axe, fiercely fighting the enemy. His armor was shattered, and his body covered in blood, yet his eyes still burned with unyielding resolve. Every strike of his weapon was as powerful as thunder, and his steps never faltered, even when facing 10 times the number of enemies. Brynhildr quietly, "He is the warrior I seek. Only a soul like his is worthy of entering Valhalla to become one of Odin's warriors." She descended beside the warrior, who had just driven back the last of his enemies but was now utterly exhausted. He looked up at Brynhildr, his eyes filled with surprise and awe. Warrior gasping, You're a Valkyrie. Has my time come?" Brynhildr nodded gently, her eyes filled with warmth and determination. Brynhildr, softly, "You have proven your courage. Odin awaits you in Valhalla, ready to receive your soul." A smile crossed the warrior's face, knowing that although his life was fading, he would achieve eternal glory. Warrior, smiling, "That is the glory I have longed for my entire life." Brynhildr gently touched the warrior's forehead, and his soul floated out of his body, becoming light and pure. The Valkyrie's wings spread wide, and she carried the warrior's soul into the sky. The sounds of battle faded into the distance, and the golden rays of the setting sun bathed them, as if bidding farewell to the warrior's life. The Valkyries returned to Valhalla with the souls, and Odin stood at the entrance of the great hall, gazing into the distant sky. He knew that every warrior brought back by the Valkyries was an indispensable force for his future battles. But he also understood that the coming of Ragnarok was inevitable, and all his preparations were ultimately for that day. Odin's inner thoughts: "I am proud of these warriors, but the weight of fate always rests on my shoulders. The Valkyries are unwavering in their loyalty, but even they cannot change the prophecy of Ragnarok. All I can do is continue forward, facing the unavoidable destiny." The Valkyries stood quietly behind Odin, their silver armor gleaming in the firelight. Each Valkyrie understood that the future battles would be even more perilous, but they had no regrets. As Odin's loyal guardians and guides for the warriors, they would stand steadfastly by his side as they awaited the coming of Ragnarok. The sky was like a torn black curtain, filled with dark clouds, and lightning occasionally flashed in the distance. The world seemed shrouded in an indescribable tension and oppression. The wind howled, and the cold air carried the scent of impending doom. The earth cracked open, and countless chasms like dark rivers spread from the depths, swallowing everything in their path. The magnificent palaces of Asgard still stood among the distant mountains, but everyone could feel that the home of the gods was about to face destruction. In the halls of Valhalla, the golden walls and massive hearth were eerily silent. The flames cast shadows on the stone walls, as if foretelling the approaching darkness. The Einherjar warriors were fully armed, their armor faintly gleaming in the firelight. They stood together in silence, without laughter, waiting for the final judgment of fate. Odin stood on the heights of Valhalla, his cloak billowing in the cold wind. His single eye was fixed on the distant battlefield, his expression steady and stern, like a sacred statue. The spear in his hand, Gungnir, trembled slightly, as if foreshadowing the ultimate battle to come. Odin whispered, "Ragnarok. It has finally come. Even though I foresaw the future, I could not avoid the arrival of this moment. This battle will decide everything. My people, my warriors today, we will fight for the survival of Asgard." Odin's gaze was deep and complex. Although he had foreseen his own death as the Allfather, he felt no fear. He knew the prophecy of Ragnarok was unchangeable, that he would be devoured by the giant wolf Fenrir, and that Asgard would be destroyed. The river of fate has never stopped flowing. The fate of the gods has long been sealed. But even so, I cannot back down. Today, my duty is not just to fight but to lead my people to face this catastrophe. As the Allfather, I must battle against fate until the very last moment, Odin thought. The battlefield unfolded far from Asgard, and the world was filled with darkness and flames. Giants, monsters, and gods clashed with each other. Descendants of Ymir, the giants, surged from the frozen north, wielding massive weapons and roaring as they crushed the snow beneath their feet. Loki stood on one side of the battlefield, a wicked smile on his face as he commanded the chaotic army, as if everything was under his control. The fire giant Surtur, wielding a blazing sword, emerged from the fiery realm of Muspelheim. Each of his steps scorched the ground, turning it into blackened earth. The sky was dyed red by his flames, and the temperature rose rapidly, making it feel as if even the air was burning. The giant wolf Fenrir emerged from the darkness, his massive body towering like a mountain. His razor-sharp claws tore through the earth, and his crimson eyes burned with endless hatred. Every step made the ground tremble, and his roar echoed across the battlefield, making even the air shudder in fear of his arrival. Odin slowly walked forward, standing at the entrance of Valhalla. His expression remained calm, though the battlefield lay ahead. He did not waver. He knew that at this moment, as the leader of the gods, he must face fate head-on. Odin, softly today, the fate of the gods will be decided here. Whatever the outcome, we will fight our enemies to the end. Warriors of Valhalla, today you will prove your glory. Odin's deep, powerful voice echoed through the great hall of Valhalla. A flicker of reverence crossed the faces of the Einherjar warriors. They knew that today's battle would be the greatest test of both their lives and afterlives. Brynhildr stood beside Odin, her eyes filled with determination. She knew that as the leader of the Valkyries, her duty was not only to fight but also to protect the fallen souls and bring them back to Valhalla. Brynhildr firmly, "Lord Odin, we will fight for you. No matter what fate brings, we will give it our all." Odin's face showed no emotion as he turned to look at Brynhildr and gave her a slight nod. Odin, gravely, "Brynhildr, the duty of the Valkyries is sacred. Today, you will lead the warriors into the final battle." The battle erupted, shaking both heaven and earth. Odin, riding Sleipnir, charged into the battlefield, spear in hand, heading straight for the giant wolf Fenrir. The wind howled in his ears, and the sounds of battle grew faint as Odin focused solely on one target, stopping Fenrir. Fenrir let out a deafening roar, his massive jaws opening wide, with razor-sharp teeth gleaming. Odin's gaze was cold and unwavering as he rushed toward the beast, his spear Gungnir glowing with divine light as he thrust it toward Fenrir. Fenrir, roaring, "Odin, Today marks the end of your gods. I will tear your body apart and devour your soul." Odin smirked coldly, his voice as icy as frost. Odin calmly, "Even if fate is sealed, I will not retreat. Fenrir, you will pay for your arrogance." Their collision was like the meeting of heaven and earth, and the air around them seemed to freeze. Gungnir, glowing with divine light, shot toward Fenrir's heart, but the giant wolf was incredibly fast. His sharp claws swung fiercely at Odin, blocking the spear and forcing Odin back a few steps. Fenrir lunged at Odin like lightning, his massive jaws snapping at Odin's body. Odin swung his spear with all his remaining strength to block the deadly attack, but his power was waning, and he could no longer resist the force of destiny. In this ultimate battle, Odin fought with everything he had left. His eyes still shone with unyielding resolve, knowing that the outcome could not be changed, yet he never backed down. Fate cannot be defied, but a warrior never retreats. "Even in my final moment, I will fight for my people," Odin thought. Fenrir's teeth finally pierced Odin's body, and blood splattered. The All-Father fell on the battlefield. In that instant, the world seemed to stand still. Dark clouds rolled across the sky above Asgard, and the lamentations of the gods echoed in the air. Odin's fall marked the arrival of Ragnarok, and the fate of the gods was rewritten. Yet, as the prophecy foretold, though the gods would fall in this battle, the world would be reborn after its destruction. A new day would come, and new gods would rise to take the place of Odin and the other fallen gods. At that moment, Odin thought, "Death is not the end. The gods will be reborn, and a new era will come. I fought for Asgard, and my warriors will fight for the world to come." Odin's body gradually disappeared into the mist of the battlefield, and the world fell into silence. The roar of Fenrir, the giant wolf, echoed across the battlefield, announcing the fall of the gods. One by one, the gods of Asgard fell, as giants and monsters pressed forward. Surtur, the fire giant, swung his flaming sword through the air, burning the land to ashes as the world trembled on the brink of destruction. The clouds in the sky were like a heavy black curtain, blocking out all light. The earth cracked open, mountains and rivers collapsed, and the sea roared as it crashed onto the land. It was as if the entire universe was mourning the end of the gods. In the halls of Valhalla, the Einherjar warriors fearlessly rushed onto the battlefield. Although they knew this was a battle they were destined to lose, they still wielded their weapons and fought with all their might. There wasn't a trace of retreat in their expressions, and their armor gleamed amidst the flames and blood. The Einherjar warriors stood firm and said fearlessly, "We once fought under Odin's protection. Even now, after death, we will offer Asgard our final glory. We do not fear death, for honor belongs to us forever." Brynhildr, the leader of the Valkyries, led her sisters across the battlefield, their wings shining in the sky like the last glimmer of light on the war-torn land. Her gaze was resolute. She knew this battle was unavoidable, but she had no regrets. Brynhildr quietly to herself, "Lord Odin, your sacrifice will not be in vain. The warriors of Valhalla will fight for you until the very end." She swung her spear and led the Einherjar warriors into the ranks of the giants and monsters, each strike filled with deadly power. Despite the intense battle, her face showed no fear. Surtur's sword struck the final barrier of Asgard, and in an instant, the searing flames consumed everything. The world burned in fire, the seas surged over the land, and the heavens fell into endless chaos and darkness. The roars of the giants, the laments of the gods, and the crackling of the flames intertwined, forming the symphony of the apocalypse. Surtur's voice echoed through the heavens, everything will turn to ashes. No god can escape the fate of Ragnarok. The flames gradually engulfed Asgard's palaces, and everything on the earth was consumed by the blazing fire. The world seemed to return to its original chaotic state. Everything was destroyed, leaving only burning flames and endless darkness. But in this darkness, the world did not truly end. In the distant future, a new world was quietly being born. The day of rebirth, as Odin had prophesied, was approaching. The flames slowly died out, and the earth began to spring back to life. New mountains and rivers were born from the ruins, and the sky was once again illuminated with light. As time passed and the dust settled, the world was reborn from chaos. New life appeared on the earth, and new gods gradually rose to take the place of the fallen ones. Although Odin and the other gods perished during Ragnarok, their spirits remained in every corner of the world. Odin's voice echoed in the air. "Death is not the end, but a new beginning. My people, you will carry on Asgard's glory. The future belongs to you, and the new gods will guard this reborn world." The sky of the new world was a clear blue, and the warm sunlight bathed the earth. The darkness and destruction of the past had become distant memories. The new gods stood atop the high mountains, looking over the vast lands they were now tasked with protecting. The creatures of the earth multiplied and thrived in the new order, and war and destruction seemed like a distant memory. Odin, the All-Father, became an immortal memory after this great battle. His sacrifice was not only for the survival of the gods but also to pave the way for the birth of a new world. He gave his life to bring peace and new life to the future. Although Odin no longer walked upon the land of the new world, his spirit continued to guide the new gods and warriors. His wisdom, courage, and defiance of fate would forever be etched into the pages of mythology, becoming a timeless legend and source of inspiration for future generations. On this reborn land, new epics would be written, and Odin's story would forever accompany the new world and its life, continuing to be passed down through the ages. This concludes Odin's story. If you enjoyed this tale, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I am Ada, a lover of mythological stories. See you in the next myth.